Hello dear fellow valuers. So today is the last session of chapter number 8 of valuation of real estate, which carries 10 marks. We have already covered cost, price, value, type of values, basic elements of values, stud, factors affecting valuation, physical, economic, legal, social, highest and best use, its importance in doing valuation of the property, value in use, value in exchange, real property, real estate, difference between real property and real estate, rights and interest in real estate, types of ownership and types of occupancy in real estate in during session number 1, 2 and 3. During our last session, we discussed about annuities, capitalization, how to calculate rate of capitalization, year purchase, sinking fund factor, redemption of capital, revisionary value, and we also learned to derive various formulas with the help of compound interest formula and sum total of geometric progression series. Right, so we have already covered all these topics during our first 4 sessions. Till now we have almost covered 90% of the syllabus, IBBI syllabus of chapter number 8, part 1, which is valuation of real estate and carries 10 marks. So after completing this session, we will be able to cover 10 marks of syllabus in terms of theory. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about urban infrastructure and its influence on real estate value, real estate market and its characteristics, investment in real estate, factors influencing demand and supply schedule in real estate, and concepts of green building. So let us have a brief overview about the urban infrastructure and its impact on real estate valuation. Value of property increases as infrastructure facilities in nearby area improve. Presence of road, airport, flyover, mall, bus terminal, etc. lead to price increase of property in the area. As infrastructure in any certain pocket of the area or city or location improves, it leads to improvement in increase in prices of the properties situated in that area or at that location. Next is real estate market and its characteristics. So broadly speaking, there are 8 unique characteristics of real estate. 1 mark theory question can come out of these out of this section. Any parameter they may ask whether this characteristic of real estate market is there or not. So first characteristic is real estate market is durability. So real estate investments can be extremely durable and build multi-generational wealth. There is no fixed maturity of real estate investments. One can hold it for decades. तो जो मैं प्रॉपर्टी खरीद रहा हूँ, अगर मैं उसको फर्दर नहीं बेचता हूँ तो वो पेरिशेबल नहीं है, नॉन पेरिशेबल आइटम है, इट इज नॉन पेरिशेबल आइटम एंड इट कैन पास ऑन टू माय मल्टी जनरेशन. Right, it can go from one generation to multiple generations. So it has huge and very good durability and it can build a multi-generational wealth. So next characteristics of real estate market is lack of transparency. If we compare with equity markets, buyer gets real-time prices of shares in case of equity market, but in real estate market, seller may be knowingly or unknowingly conceal important information about the property to be sold. Thus research and inspection are important when buying real estate. In case you buy a property without seeing it through auction, be sure to take higher risk into consideration when making the offer. So in case of equity market, that market is assumed to be transparent. Everybody is having all the information about the share, about the company. So market calculates the fair market value. But in case of real estate market, though ideally it should be, every information should be available to everybody. All the facts about the property should be available to everybody. It is presumed. However, knowingly or unknowingly, the seller might have certain information about the property which he may not reveal, he may not tell to the buyer, right, while selling the property. So it is very important for buyer to do proper and thorough inspection of the property which he is planning to buy, right. So in case of properties through auctions, or when properties are being sold by the lenders, banks, housing finance companies, institutional lenders. So in that case, if you are planning to buy a property through auction, so because they give limited time to have a walkthrough of the property, so you should keep in your mind that there could be some information which remain concealed. That is why people tend to quote lower price for the properties which are being offered through auction by various banks or lenders. Heterogeneity, it is very important aspect. No two properties are identical. It is all about location, location and location. So location of the property is of very huge importance, right? Just like no two hands can have same lines, just like no two properties are identical. So geotag, no two properties can have same geotag, right? So illiquid, real estate is considered to be illiquid because it cannot be sold overnight without a substantial loss in value. So in case of FDR, in case of shares, I can sell my shares, or I can break my FDRs deposits with bank in fraction of seconds by just clicking a button on my mobile or laptop. But in case of real estate, it is not just a click away. So I need to I need to find out a buyer who is ready to pay me the amount, and transaction itself takes a lot of time to get complete. However, if I'm ready to sacrifice certain, ready to take some substantial loss in my property value, say I want some immediate money, so I may be required to sell my 100 rupees property maybe at 70 rupees, 80 rupees or distress value. So high startup cost of acquiring real estate is higher than many other types of investment. So normally it ranges from 6 to 10% of the transaction cost. If I am a buyer and I am planning to buy a property of say value 100 rupees, so I may be required to pay brokerage fee, which may ranges up to 1% or maybe 1.5 or 2% in certain cases, right? Then I may be required to pay registration fee to the authority. It may ranges up to 4, 5, 6%, 8% in certain cases. I may be required to pay certain administrative charges to the builder, transfer fee, or some other expenses also. So put together, on an average, 5 to 10% of the property cost as a buyer I have to incur to acquire a new property. High vulnerability. Property prices may change by number of factors. Even as a small factor like change in neighborhood can also affect the value of my property. The real estate investor need to have constant attention. So it's highly vulnerable. Say I have purchased a property and somebody in my neighborhood purchases the adjoining property, right? And that person is of notorious nature. So he might be terrorist, he might be doing some illegal activity, right? Like for example prostitution he might be doing. So it will adversely affect valuation of my property as well. So that is how. So it is highly vulnerable. If say some celebrity come and resides near to my house, so it may give appreciation to my property also. Now next is real estate market and characteristic. Last two characteristic. Total supply of land is fixed. So land available on earth is limited. So it is a scarce commodity. Effects of various legislation. Various legislations like Rent Control Act, Land Ceiling Act, etc. constrain perfect competition in real estate market. So there are number of laws and legislations which are applicable on properties. So which lead to which causes avoidance of perfect competition in the real estate market. Factors affecting demand of real estate. So there are multiple factors which affect demand of a real estate in a particular area or location. So first most important factor is interest rate. If if banks reduce ROI on housing loan, so real estate demand will increase, because with reduction of ROI more people will have higher eligibility of housing loan, because they will be having less EMI per lakh. So this will lead to higher eligibility of housing loan, and because of lower ROI, EMI will be reduced. So people will tend to buy bigger houses with higher loan, or even if they go with the small houses, their EMI will reduce, so affordability will improve. So reduction in ROI by housing loan lenders leads to increase in demand of real estate. Speculative demand and confidence. If people expect good economy in future, real estate prices increase faster. So in case of economic boom, demand for houses rise faster than the income. So if everybody is expecting that prices our economy is going to boom, so people will tend to buy more houses. So with that expectation, there is if say income increases by 10%, so it is expected the demand for housing would increase by more than 10%. We will try to understand this concept in economics also. Mortgage availability. If banks focus on mortgage based lending, demand for real estate increase. So if all banks tend to focus on loans backed by mortgage of property, then obviously ROI will reduce, competition will increase among banks, and banks will start giving loans, mortgage based loans at a more lucrative offers, more lucrative, better sanction terms. Better sanction terms could be higher LTV or lower ROI or other lucrative terms also. Waiver of last EMIs, right? There could be number of waiver of processing fee. There could be number of offers which lenders can give to allure customer and to grab customer of the mortgage based assets. Economic growth and real income. Rising income enable people to afford bigger houses. As income of the people increase, so people tend to buy bigger houses. Factors affecting demand of real estate. Other factors are like affordability. Rising income means people are able to spend more on housing. Any rise in income lead to bigger rise in demand. So if income increases by 10%, it leads to more than 10% demand in housing. Number of household or population. Increase in population lead to higher demand for houses. As population in any particular area increase, so demand for houses in that area also increase. Average size of family. If so, in a society of nuclear family, demand for smaller houses increase. If a culture has been developed in a particular area or locality or society, wherein people are moving from bigger family to nuclear families, so each nuclear family will be required its own house, but they will tend to buy a smaller house instead of bigger house. Rental yields. If rent increases, people tend to buy houses instead of paying rents. Factors affecting supply of real estate. So there are four major factors which affect supply. So if number of new houses built, planning restrictions on use of land, example green belt restriction, local opposition to the new home built, and profitability of building new homes. If profitability will increase, more builders will tend to construct more houses and supply will increase. Investment in real estate. An investor, while investing in a property, should consider following points, right? Number one, stay patient. So investor should remain patient. An investor in hurry may end up buying a property at higher price or at an inferior, or he may end up buying an inferior property. Builder can also delay project, checking patience of investor, as return is slow. Return in slow project is also low. So whenever you buy a property, always try to be patient, because if we buy a property in hurry, either buyer will end up paying higher cost to the purchase the house or flat at a higher cost, or he end up buying an inferior property. खराब प्रॉपर्टी मिल सकती है. Then research the property. Buyer should do research about history of the builder, material used in construction, amenities offered. It is very important. Check the papers. Buyer should do proper and thorough check of the property papers, and he should take legal opinion from the advocate to avoid future legal complications. Check master rate and circle rate also. Buyer should do review and checking of the market rate. What are the market rates going on? What are the circle rates of the property? Talk to neighbors. Talk to neighbors to take feedback about market rates, location, background check of seller. So जब हम प्रॉपर्टी खरीद रहे हैं, we should do a market survey. We should talk to neighbors. We should understand what are the positives and negatives of the location. Whether that location is having some waterlogging problem, any other problem in the area, or what is the background of the seller. Whether the seller is having some negative background, negative feedback of the market, whether he is a defaulter. There could be a number of things. Calculate your finance. Check your savings, housing loan, eligibility, sources of EMI payment, etc. Before going to purchase a house, as a buyer, I should be clear how much saving I have, what is my loan eligibility, and from where I will pay my EMI and how much EMI I can afford, so that it will tell me about my eligibility, my range of purchasing a house. remain positive, be positive, calm, composed while interacting with property sellers. So as a buyer, whenever you go and meet the property sellers, so try to be patient. Don't show that you want to buy a property in a hurry. So it will help you to negotiate with seller in a better way. Negotiate to get additional freebies like parking space, furniture, etc. So if possible, if for example if you are buying a flat from a builder directly, so you can negotiate with the builder for giving some extra parking space or some giving AC or some extra add-ons to the flat. Consider the risk factor. Property is less risky, but obviously not risk free. So it is less risky asset, but still number of risks are there. Green building, green construction or sustainable building. So these three are synonymous words, and the common objectives of green building are efficiently using energy, water and other resources. Number one objective. Number two, protecting occupant health and improving employee productivity. तो जो उसमें रह रहे हैं लोग उनका health और उनका productivity improve करना. And number three objective of the green building is reducing waste, pollution and environmental degradation. So to support the environmental things. LEED rating. US Green Building Council USGBS is the body which has designed LEED rating system. Full form of LEED rating is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design for design, construction, operation and maintenance of green building. Cost and payback. Based on global data available, green buildings cost a premium of approximately 2%, but yield 10 times as much as over the entire life of the building. So regarding financial benefits, over 20 years, the financial payback typically exceeds the additional cost of greening by a factor of 4 to 6 times. Indian Green Building Council. IGBC was formed by CII, Confederation of India Industries, in 2001. CII Green Business Center Hyderabad is India's first platinum rating green building. This question may arrive in the question during the exam. Valuation of green building. So valuer should analyze the characteristics and benefits etc. of the green building and assess their impact on the valuation. So by incurring some extra, to make a green building, we have to incur some extra expenses, but after incurring those expenses we can save certain cost in terms of electricity, power, or we can accrue some extra benefits also. So whatever savings and extra benefits we have earned because after making the building green, so that gives the valuation of the green building. So that's all about session 5, and with this we have completed our chapter number 8, part 1, the valuation of real estate. 10 marks exam, IBBI exam syllabus has been covered till now. So before I'll tell you about next session what we are going to cover, I would request you to please subscribe the channel IBBI Cracker and click on bell icon so that you will be notified as soon as I will upload next video on valuation, income approach to valuation. So next part we are going to discuss in detail about income approach to valuation. It carries 7 marks of theory and it is important for 20 marks of numerical as well. Thank you very much.